Hello everyone, Dave here back with another wrestling video. This is going to be one of my pay-per-view review impression type videos where basically I just sit here and talk. Minimal, actually no editing, just because that's how things go around here. And we're going to talk about Bad Blood. Yes, I'm wearing my Bills hat and jersey. They just lost. I don't want to talk about it. We're going to talk about something that was much better, which was Bad Blood 2024. I kind of forgot what year it was for a second there. Okay, so I'm trying to pull up the match card here, but why is everything so slow? Okay. So let's just go in order, I guess. First off, I want to say overall, Bad Blood 2024 was pretty phenomenal. I really loved this pay-per-view. I thought there were, I honestly, I thought, it was great. I mean, just starting out, it started off on a high note, and the only problem with it is it started out, I think, too good. Because then there was nowhere else to go. I mean, the final match was obviously a big deal, but it started out CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell, was the match of the night. I mean, honestly, probably one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. It was just phenomenal, in the sense of they're pulling out everything. They're pulling out tools, chairs, tables. It got bloody, very bloody. It is called Bad Blood after all, so that's dumb. But it got bloody, it got mean, it got violent. Drew McIntyre did actually legitimately get hurt, and he was bleeding like a faucet. Bleeding like a faucet? No, faucets don't bleed, Dave. Blood was coming out of him like a faucet. Because he got his head cut, and I think he needed, a report came out today, he needed 16 stitches or something crazy. But the match itself was crazy. I mean, they're taking wrenches to each other's heads. Drew took a bunch of beads and poured it all over CM. There were so many crazy spots in that whole match. It was quite literally Hell in a Cell. And then CM Punk wrapping the chain around his neck and then finishing, or not his neck, his knee, and finishing with the GTS was great. Those two put on a phenomenal performance. It was legitimately, I think, the match of the night. If you don't mind a little blood and a little violence in your wrestling, you're gonna really like this one. It's definitely a match that I can see myself going back to watch again. It was insane. Then unfortunately it was followed by far the worst match of the night. Granted, it's kind of hard to follow that opener, but it still wasn't fun. Nia Jax and Bayley. I love Bayley. I thought she deserved a better run, and a longer run. And I really do not like Nia Jax. I just can't stand her. I don't think she's very good in the ring. She's not interesting on the mic. She's not really interesting at all. And then also outside of WWE, she isn't a very good person. So we don't need to get into that. But the match itself was, I guess, fine. It ended yet again the same way Nia Jax's matches always end, with her just sitting on somebody. And I think it's kind of a really lame finisher. I just don't find it. I don't know. It's just lame. But I was hoping it would be Tiffy time. But I think it will be soon, because Tiffany was gonna cash in. It looked like she was gonna cash in, but then she wound up not cashing in for the belt. But I think there's definitely trouble a brewing in that regard, which I hope she does cash in, because I would much rather Tiffany Stratton have the belt than Nia Jax, because, again, I just am not a fan. But the match itself was fine. Um, I love Bailey. I do. I love Tiffany Stratton as well. There was also a spot where Nia Jax fell on the referee, and then it had that typical like, oh, Bailey won, but the ref wasn't there to count it, like type shit. Like, I just really don't like that spot, like, or that sort of thing when like somebody quote unquote wins, but the ref is knocked out. It always just seems so forced to me, and well, I mean it is forced, but because this is all pre-planned, but it just is a lame excuse. Like I wish they would come up with something a little more interesting. um Next we had Damian Priest and Finn Balor squaring off. I think this was definitely a fine match as well. Damian Priest has been growing on me a lot. I just like his title reign. I just didn't like for some reason. It just didn't hit. But ever since he lost the belt and turned face, he's become a lot more endearing to me. So I definitely am becoming a fan of his. I also really like Finn Balor, and I think he deserves more and he deserves better. The thing that sucks about the match is, honestly, I didn't need Finn to win, I guess, but I would have liked him to win only because that's all he does lately is just lose. And it just feels like I know he has tag championship or whatever, but it just feels like he doesn't really get anything. He doesn't have anything going for him. But the match between these two was great. I mean, they're both really great in the ring. There's a lot of history between these two with the whole Judgment Day. I mean, the coup de grace by Baylor is such a great move, and I just really love it. And then, so it's always cool seeing that. But, Carlito and JD McDonough came out. Whatever. I don't really care about those two. Wasn't really an issue. They tried to interfere, and they did for a second, but it didn't really turn into much. So Damian Priest won. It was fine. Yeah. And then we have like a little announcement. Triple H came out and basically said that there's going to be a new belt. And I was like, cool. And then when he explained what the belt was, I'm like, that's it? That's the entire belt? So basically, for those who don't know or didn't see it or whatever, it's a belt for specifically Crown Jewel, the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. I feel like the Saudis probably gave WWE or Triple H a bunch of money to be like, hey, we want a belt just for us to like draw people in, which I can't even hate on. Like, if every pay-per-view had its own belt, that would be kind of lame, but like it's an extra little incentive to watch because there's actually like hardware being exchanged. But it's basically like the two like top belt holders. So in this case, for example, it would be Gunther and Cody Rhodes would square off. None of their belts would be on the line, but whoever wins that match would be given the Crown Jewel belt and be given the Crown Jewel champion. And I find that to be pretty lame because like it doesn't really mean anything other than for that pay-per-view. It's kind of like The Rock's People's Champion belt. Like, it's cool in theory, but it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just symbolism, I guess. And I think if you're going to introduce a new belt, I think it would be better to actually make it a completely new belt that anyone could grab. Because, like, you've got so many talented people, both men and women, on these. There's also a women's version of the belt, too. You've got so many talented men and women on these rosters, and even more that are making their way through NXT. So you're gonna have more people continue to come up as time goes on. Like, you've got so many people, you could introduce a whole new way for storylines to come up because of a brand new belt. But yet you're gonna relegate it to people who already have belts. So it doesn't really make much sense to me. I don't hate it. I think it's fine, but it could have been so much more. But yeah, I think I would rather a belt that is new and anyone could win rather than someone who already has a belt having an opportunity to get another belt just because it looks cool. And the belt, honestly, I think kind of looks neat. It's square, which most of them are obviously not square. So that's kind of neat. And I love green. Green's my favorite color. So like it's fine. Like it's not a terrible thing, but it just could have been more in my opinion. But basically, then Gunther came out and was insulting Goldberg, and that for some reason I think they were basically just trying to show that Goldberg was there and trying to get him involved a little bit because people like Goldberg, and that's fine. And then Sami Zayn came out. He's facing Gunther for his belt. Sammy's obviously going to lose that. And that's another thing. Like, I wish Sammy had more going on. Like, he had such a interesting storyline between his bloodline thing and then his feud with Kevin Owens to his eventual friendship, like, or return to friendship. Re-friendship. I don't think that's a word, but like I can't think of anything else to say with Kevin Owens. And then like he could have done more, and then now all they do is just throw him in belt matches, which I guess could be a story in and of itself because that's the only belt that he needs is, I think it is the World Heavyweight Championship belt or something. I don't know, or World Champ. I don't remember, but he's what am I saying? But yeah, so. But I just wish he had more going on. And also, I'm just not a Gunther fan. He's just a big guy. I find that boring. I don't really like his whole ring general skit gimmick. I don't know. It's whatever. So moving off of that, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan match was really good. I think both of these women can wrestle their ass off. I think having Dominic in a cage 12 feet in the air was kind of fun. His whole thing where he opened the door and then fell out was definitely unexpected in my opinion. And then Rhea using him as a piñata, essentially taking the kendo stick to him, is great. And then also Raquel Rodriguez is back. I love her. I love Raquel. I like every couple months I was asking myself, hey, where did Raquel go? And I loved her and Liv as a tag team. I thought they were really fun together. And she came in to back up Liv, which was cool. Obviously it caused a disqualification. But Liv retained the belt. And now sorry, I lost my train of thought. And now Raquel's back, which is cool. And love her or hate her, I personally love her. But Liv Morgan did exactly what she said she was going to do. She said she was going to take everything from Rhea. And she did. She took the Judgment Day. She took her boyfriend. She took her belt. Like, that, she did it. I mean, you can't knock the hustle. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Rhea. I mean, obviously, she's still insanely popular. They're going to get her the belt back eventually. But I kind of hope this storyline doesn't just devolve into her and Liv just constantly fighting at every pay-per-view. I'm curious to see what they do here. Because, again, there's only so much more you can do with this, in my opinion. Because, like, her and Dom's little relationship is whatever. And Raquel is back, so that could add a whole nother thread to this whole storyline. So again, there's a lot they could do here, but it also does seem in some aspects to be like they're kind of bottlenecking themselves a little bit because it's like, I don't know. I'm not a writer at WWE, although sometimes I wish I could be because it seems like it'd be a fun job. But yeah, definitely highlighted this match was Rhea just completely taking the kendo stick Dominic, treating him like a piñata. That was fun. But I thought the match was fine. I thought it was good. I wish I wish Jey Uso came in and helped out. I don't know what he would have done in that instance. Um, but I don't know. I just like that. And then last but not least, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. This match was pretty electric. It had a lot of really great spots. I thought it started out a little slow, but by the end it was pretty intense. Um, like when God, I keep like combining words. When Cody Rhodes like did a little salute, in a little point, like, hey, to Roman, and did a big moonsault off onto the table onto Jacob Fatu. That was crazy. That was that was pretty nuts. Um, Roman hitting Solo with a spear is just poetry in motion. I can't stand Solo. Um, and yeah, it was pretty nut. And Jimmy coming back was unexpected. I'm not the biggest. Well, we'll get into that. I wasn't the biggest Jimmy fan, and to be honest, I'm still not a huge fan. But we'll get into why I like him a little bit more in a second. But there was a lot of cool stuff that happened. It's always great seeing Cody land the Cody Cutter, Crossroads, stuff like that. I love Cody's moveset. Obviously, doing it in Atlanta, his home was great. And I think this new bloodline is really starting to crumble a little bit. Well, maybe not, because they still are vehemently, blindly loyal to Solo, but showing that they are not as powerful as they think they are, I think was very cool. I'm very curious to see what happens, because at the end, we not only had, we had Cody and Roman win. Roman was kind of staring him down a little bit, like kind of eyeing the belt, but he eventually stepped out of the ring, and so did Jimmy. And on the way up, when they're walking out of the ring, Cody gets jumped by Solo and his goons. And this is why I kind of like Jimmy a little bit more. He was like, "Yo, we got to go help him," and Roman was like, "Nah, I'm not talking verbatim here, but he was essentially like, no, it was a one-time thing. I'm not doing that." And he said, "No, dude, it's the right thing to do. We got to go help." So then they ran back in, and that was a cool moment. Jimmy super kicked a couple guys. Roman, speared some people and whatever. And it was a nice little kind of full circle moment to be like, hey, now we're helping you. We may not be like buddies, but there's a begrudging respect there, I think, between the two of them. And it was pretty cool of Jimmy to be like, "No, dude, we gotta go help him." And then Roman had a moment where he like looks at the belt, and then he kind of is kind of eyeing it, and everybody's like, "Oh, what's he gonna do?" And then he just hands it back to Cody, which was cool. It was a cool moment. It was a cool match. And then, of course, as one could have predicted, I was kind of thinking that he might come back. The Rock returned, the final boss. He didn't say anything. He didn't even get in the ring. He just popped out, kind of looking a little pissed off, a little disappointed, and kind of did like a little throat slash and a little like, kind of fuck you sign. I don't know if this means that, like, I think what everyone is insinuating is that he's really the one behind this new bloodline, really the one calling the shots. Like, Solo's the figurehead, but like a lot of people seem to think that The Rock is the one behind the scenes. So I don't know if that confirms that, but what I think it does confirm is he's basically like, "Hey, Roman, you're done, dude. Like, you're dead to me," sort of thing. Like, how could you team up with Cody? Which is a very interesting angle, because there was a little bit of chatter beforehand about Kevin Owens possibly feeling the same way, but on Cody's side being like, "Cody, how the hell could you team up with Roman?" So there's a lot of stuff that could happen here. I'm very interested to see Monday. I'm gonna try my best to watch Raw tomorrow to see the effects of everything, because just wrapping things up here. It was a really good Bad Blood. I thought this was a really great pay per view. Um, yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it, and I think I haven't reviewed every pay per view this year, but I think I legitimately believe that like WWE, when it comes to their pay per views, has been doing a pretty good job. Like some of my favorite matches of the year have been from pay-per-views, and some of the biggest moments have been from pay-per-views, which makes sense. Obviously they want to save the best stuff for their pay-per-view performances, but like it's cool. And it yeah, I don't know, it was a cool pay-per-view. um I don't usually like give a rating to these things. I just kind of talk about them, but I really liked it. I thought it was great. If for nothing else, the Drew McIntyre CM Punk match is worth the price of admission alone. That was an amazingly brutal, crazy match that I think everyone should at least watch that if you're at all a fan of wrestling or a fan of just seeing two guys just absolutely beat the shit out of each other. Um, but yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace.